Applying to a specialty program, especially Pedo, can be challenging. Tell us what has been for you the hardest part about this application process and applying to Pedo.
Yes, sir. I would say the hardest part about applying to any residency, especially pedo, is the waiting process. You're either waiting to get the initial interview, and then after that, you have to wait for the match day. So the waiting, the uncertainty, and just trying to build yourself up and what you've done after your interview. Like, did I do the right thing? Did I say the right thing? Did they like me? Just the anticipation and waiting. So waiting, I would say, is a hardest part of um, the whole match process. If you,
Yeah, it's called hurry up and wait, right? Hurry
yes,
up and wait. Pedo, pedo, yes, pedo as in pediatric dentistry, where
yes,
you
sir.
mix, where it's a mix between behavior management, trust, and fun, all in one to become a board certified pediatric dentist. Stay tuned as we talk to a dental student who just matched into his pedo program, and he's going to tell us all about it. Stay tuned. Hey, this is Dr. Darwin, a new dentist coach, with another episode of Ask Dr. Darwin on the New Dentist Podcast Show, where we talk about getting into dental school, getting into residency, and then life as a new dentist. Guys, be sure you are continuing to share, comment, like, and also support the channel as well. Feel free to drop us and support the channel through Cash App so that we can continue to add to this library of information. And this information is for you guys so that you can excel in your application process and your journey into becoming a dentist or a specialist. Also, this episode of Ask Dr. Darwin is being brought to you by Get Into Dental Residency. Yes, getintodentalresidency.com, right down here. The ultimate resource to help you plan your application, prepare for your interviews, and then also put together your rank list for your residency program. For more details, go down below, and we hope to see you in the training very, very soon. So, guys, today we're joined with a client who actually did that. He went into getintodentalresidency.com and got the help that he needed, and it paid off for him because now he's on his way to become a board certified pediatric dentist. Today we're joined with student doctor Patrick Prince, who's here, and man, we got a lot to talk about and about your journey to pedo, man. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about more about yourself for those that are meeting you for the first time.
All right. As you said, my name is Patrick Prince. I'm from Houston, Texas, born and raised, but I went to undergrad in San Antonio at UTSA. At UTSA, I was a track and field athlete, so I ran the 110 hurdles, and and so I've been in San Antonio for quite a while. San Antonio has become my new home because I also go to dental school here at UTESCA San Antonio.
That's great, man. Yeah, H-Town, my former place I used to live, man. Lived down there, did some dentistry down there as well, and track and field. So we got a lot in common, man. A lot in common, and we're dentists. So look at there, the trifecta there,
Sir,
trifecta. So man, let's dive into it because people are eager to hear about your journey and hear some tips and stuff. But guys, make sure you're staying all the way through. All right. There's a lot of information, and staying all the way through is going to help you. All right. So why pedo? Why did you decide pedo as a specialty, especially when there's oral surgery, there's ortho, there's endo, there's general dentistry? Why did you decide pedo?
like you said, there is a lot of options when going into dentistry, but my actual introduction into dentistry was in a pediatric office. So growing up, as far as dentistry, all I knew was pediatric dentistry. actually didn't even go to a general dentist until I started my first year in dental school. So most of my experiences shadowing, leading up into dental school were in the pediatric office. I just really fell in love with the environment. I fell in love with how the office is ran, as far as you can have different themed offices. You get to really have fun with helping the pediatric patients out. And outside of dentistry, I've always just loved working with kids, whether it be as a substitute teacher, as a coach. I coached Little League sports for a little bit, and just the overall interaction that you can get when you're helping nurture and teaching kids new skills. That's just very fulfilling to me. So I wanted to merge my passion for dentistry and my passion for working with kids into one profession, and pediatric dentistry allows me to do that.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely will be doing that and a lot more, especially dealing with behavioral management, the trust of the parents and the kids as well, and all blending it in with some fun as well, right?
Yes, sir.
That's going to be the nice part about it, and to be able to say that you're board certified and an expert in the field. But before you can become an expert in the field, you also have to field your application and get it together as part of this process, right? Because you
Fun.
can't get in to residency without filling out an application and completing an application. So share with us a little bit more about how you prepared, how you started to get this application uh, together.
So my journey was a fun one. So coming into dental school, I knew I wanted to do pediatric dentistry. So I was preparing and doing that, but along the way I had some I had some academic issues, and so I had to work through that. Some challenges in starting dental school. You know, dental school is very different than undergrad as far as their timing, the requirements, the hand skills, and so I did have some challenges academic wise, but I was able to overcome that. And so for a moment, I thought I wasn't going to actually apply to dental school. I was thinking about going and doing an AGD, or getting some work experiences, because I didn't know if I was going to be competitive enough academic wise. But I was shadowing AGDs, and then I was like, well, if I'm going to go ahead and apply for AGDs, if I'm going to spend the money, if I'm going to spend the shadowing time, I might as well go and apply for what I want to do. And what I want to do was work with pediatric patients. And so I I stopped going to the AGD clinic and shadowing, and put more time in our pediatric clinic. And I was doing everything as far as like the brush rush, the Special Olympics. I was still doing shadowing and volunteering outside of the clinic to do to make my application strong. And that's also just what I enjoyed doing. So whether I was doing it for my application or just because I enjoyed doing it, it was helping strengthen my application. So that's just some of the things that I was doing to kind of prepare myself for the application cycle.
Hey, this is Dr. Darwin, your new dentist coach. Hey, look, it's residency time. It's residency application time. And the biggest question that a lot of people have is, how do I prepare my application? So look, if you're struggling in getting your information together, your CV, your personal statement, or you're ready but not prepared for your interviews, reach out to me ASAP, right? Through my group, Dental Residency Headquarters, we can help you. We can help you get ready for this residency cycle so that you're able to do this. We want you to match into residency cycle this year, all right? But you got some work to do. If you need some help with that application, shoot me an email at newdentistcoach@gmail.com. newdentistcoach@gmail.com. And through our program called Get Into Dental Residency, we can help you. We can help you, but you got to hurry up, because residency application is right now. It's right now. So shoot me an email right now. All right, let's get back to this episode.
I really buckled down once I decided I was going to focus on pediatrics, trying to get my grades higher so I can be more competitive.
Yeah, and it is competitive. It definitely is competitive. Pedo, endo, ortho are really one of the most popular ones. A lot of popular residency programs right now. When you mentioned part of that application process, you did some shadowing, especially in the specialty that in Pedo that you were pursuing, and volunteering. All of those things are part of that application process. And you had an idea early on, or you had a notion early on that you wanted to become a pediatric dentist, even though you knew there were some other pathways, but Pedo was going to be the ultimate goal. During what year, dental school year, would you say you really were cognizant of the things that you were doing that were going to be directly related to this Pedo application that you put in and completed this past year?
I would say probably going in between the second and third year, because that's when I had to, kick it up a notch, because most of your grades are pretty much gotten in the first and second years. And so the second year I really had to buckle down to make myself a competitive applicant. And then, like I said, I was always doing the volunteer aspect of working with kids, even in college. And so that's just something that I was already used to, but I just had to put more effort and more focus on the academic side, because I wanted
Yeah,
to be a complete applicant, not just one-sided.
yeah. And being a complete applicant is important. It's not just GPA. It's again those experiences, those both in the community and volunteering, being around the pedo clinic and the residents that are there. If you're at an institution that has a pedo program, all great tips to help you put together that application. So you applied, you put together your application, but you also have to also select schools and programs that would receive your application, right? Tell us a little bit more about how you went to developing, or how you started to develop your list of programs, things that you were looking for that were important to you regarding pedo programs, where you're going to be training for another 2+ years in a different city or a particular city. So what were some of those things that you were looking for? And tell us a little bit more about the number of schools that you applied to and why.
Okay, so some of the big things that I were looking for in the programs was the location. Um, I, as a Texas native, we're used to the warm summers. Everything is warm. We don't get too much cold, and when it is cold, it's not a snow kind of cold. And so going up north, I knew I would have to deal with, potentially having to deal with living in the snow. So that was a big thing. I wasn't opposed to it, but I was definitely trying to stay more in the southern states. But so location, number of residents, that was a big thing. Being a part of the track team here at UTSA, playing football and basketball, I'm used to big groups and large groups, and so that's what I enjoy. I enjoy being a part of large groups. So I kind of wanted to make sure the program that I went to, it would have at least four residents total. Um, that way I could have other residents to bounce ideas off of, to learn from, whether they be in your cohort or in the cohort above you. Just kind of bring back that team mentality that I'm really used to. So that was another thing that I was looking for. Also, stipend versus tuition. I tried to apply mostly to, obviously, to stipend-based programs. There were a couple of tuition-based programs that I applied to because I really wanted to be a pediatric dentist. So I kind of told myself, if I have to pay the tuition in order to not have to sit out a couple years, it's well worth it. It's an investment in yourself. So I
Right,
wouldn't let
right.
tuition stop you, because most of these programs you can most likely get a financial aid through FAFSA for, if you have to. No, it's not ideal to take out another loan, but if you have to do it, it is an avenue. There are options. There are resources for you to continue your education as far as that aspect.
Awesome. Yeah, you got to pay to play, man. Got to pay to play, right? In some of these programs. Anything else related to maybe a school-based program versus a hospital-based program? Did you have any preferences?
I When I was applying, I preferred the school base because I heard they're kind of a mixture between you get some hospital experience, but it's more like the schooling. You get a more balanced education per se. It's not totally all clinic, and then it's not but you're not missing the academic part. Um, from what I heard from some residents, some of the hospital is work, 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 but at the end of the day, you want to make sure you're prepared to pass the board examination to become the licensed pediatric dentist, board certified pediatric dentist. So that was something that was very important to me because I wanted to make sure I got the educational aspect in my education and not having to go search on it outside of, by myself.
Yeah, that's an important point. Also, point of clarification, keep in mind whether it's a hospital-based program or a school-based program. If that program is accredited by CODA, uh, there is a standard related to preparation and making sure that all completers of the program are what we call board eligible. Board eligible. So there may be different types of experiences that are different in a school-based versus hospital-based programs, but at the end of the day, you will be board eligible, or at least the programs, that's part of the goal. You must be board eligible coming from that program, especially if it's credited, which most, if not all of the Pedo programs are. So good reasons. And now you have a better understanding of some of the things that you were looking at, some of those determinants about programs. Let's now talk about the interview program. I mean, the interview within the programs, right? And the interview process, which was part of the thing that you and most applicants are always anticipating and waiting for, right? You submit your application and now it's like, oh my God, and now you're waiting. Now you're waiting even more, right?
Yes,
Waiting
sir.
for, and that hardest thing about the process is waiting to hear back from programs once you've pushed the button and submitted your pass application. So tell us a little bit about the number of interviews that you received and also the number of schools that you applied to and the number of interviews that you received. And tell us a little bit about the interview days as well. So number of programs that you applied to and number of interviews that you received.
Okay. So I applied to 30 programs all across the country. The only states I really didn't apply to were California and New York. But those are for different reasons. But though I applied wide, I wanted to make sure I gave myself the best shot to get in on the first try. So I made sure I applied wide, applied to places I could see myself living in, along with my fiance, being able to get a job there. So those were different aspects that I was looking at when I applied to the 30 programs. In those 30 programs, I was able to have an interview at 5 programs, and they were very fulfilling, very rewarding, very grateful for the opportunity that those programs gave to me to interview at those programs.
What were those five programs?
Oh, okay.
Schools.
So my first one was at UAB. Then I went from UAB to Iowa overnight. That was fun. UAB to Iowa. Then I had one at UT Health San Antonio. Then I did one in Howard, and then I had a virtual interview with Meharry.
What were some of the things that were similar and different about those interviews? Especially, it sounds like most of them were in person. So, but overall, as far as how the interview day, the questions, and if there were any questions that were maybe unusual, can you share that?
Yes, sir. I would say the interviews were, very relaxed. I didn't feel pressured or anything like that when I was interviewing with the residents or with the faculty members. At all the places that I interviewed at, the faculty members and the residents were very welcoming, very. It was more conversational. Nothing about pediatric dentistry specific per se. I guess that might differ if you have work experience rather than coming straight out of dental school like myself. I'm coming out of dental school, so they understand we have pediatric experiences in our curriculum, but they know they're most likely going to be limited and very different from a dentist who's coming from working 2 to 3 or however many years they're coming from working. So they were very conversational, very a lot of them were like, tell me about yourself, why pediatric dentistry, why this university, what else? Tell me about it, your experiences in working with pediatric patients. Um, One of the fun ones in Iowa, they had some like case-based scenarios. One was like, how would you respond if a patient's mother was rude to you or the staff? I think Iowa was the only one that I had that did like case-based scenarios. Besides that, one place at Iowa, one resident at Iowa, he grabbed a pencil and he was like, "Show me 5 different things you can do with a pencil." Just some fun stuff. Um, I would say some of the interviews, you do the meet and greet the day before, so you get a chance to kind of really know and talk to the residents, get to ask them the questions that you might not want to ask them like on the school, because you never know who's listening. But they're always listening. The residents will, even if you're not at the school, the residents are, being aware, they're taking mental notes, but they're very chill, very relaxed, very honest. So just because it's you're eating at the pizza place, you don't want to be too relaxed. You're always interviewing. You're always interviewing.
Yeah, you're always on, right?
Yes, sir.
From the time that you park the car and walk to the building, it's to the time that you leave and say goodbye.
Yes, you're
The
always
whole day is the interview day. And one of the things that you mentioned that I want to highlight is that it's conversational.
yes,
Yes, it's an interview, but what do you do in an interview? You have a conversation, you talk, you communicate. So for those that are not comfortable talking, and you're applying to endo, and you're applying to pedo, and you're applying to oral surgery, and you're applying to residency, you need to work on that because you
yes,
will be talking, and they want to know how you can hold a conversation, answer questions, but also ask questions, right?
yes,
Ask questions during the interview. And in our training with getintodentalresidency.com, we help you with being prepared for that interview day because it is a conversation. It's not really an interview, but it's an opportunity for them to meet you and to talk more with you and for you to ask questions as well. So great overview about how the interview day was. Were any of those scenarios kind of tricky for you?
not the one where about how would you deal with a rude staff. There was another case-based scenario where they basically asked more or less, how would you deal with a patient you thought was being neglected, and would you call CPS and along those lines.
Right, right.
But that was tricky. Some of the other questions I got maybe were like, what were your strengths and weaknesses that you have? Uh, you know, are you one guy, he told me he interviewed somewhere else, but he told me he was asked, what's one of the most, not most, but what's a recent unethical thing that you've done? And I was like, whoa, something that's unethical is like you're thinking, because we all want to say we're doing everything right. I was like, you don't want to go too far to the left saying I've done this and that. So it's like that's a tough one. Like,
Well,
what's some
you could have said the unethical thing was wishing the other candidates harm so that I can be ranked before them. I don't know, something
yeah,
fun, but
yeah,
not
maybe
really
they missed their
unethical.
flight. Yeah, maybe they missed their flight or something.
Right. I hope they missed their flight because I need all the additional advantages that I possible, right? Good, good, good. So and how did you feel in the interviews? Like after each interview, did you feel comfortable? Did you have a chance to do some reflections and things like that?
I would say I felt good about most of my interviews. Like I said, they were mostly conversational. Me personally, I'm better at coaching people, like, one-on-one and stuff like that, or like out in the field. And so it is a little bit different for me to kind of like sit. You want to sit professionally, be professional. You want to speak a certain way. You don't want to mispronounce it. You don't want to misspeak. And so trying to be comfortable without misspeaking, because you only have 15 to 20 minutes, to uh tell the residencies why they should choose you. So that was more the hard part, trying not to misspeak, and as far as that. But I felt good about most of my interviews. um I didn't really leave one saying like, man, I really messed up. But there are instances where you're like, I kind of miss, you practice everything, and then as soon as they ask you the question, your flow, your word patterns, your sentence flow, it all changes. So that's
Yeah.
what happens sometimes. But you just kind of got to look at your notebook, because one of the tips that you gave me was when they ask you a question, write it really, really brief, really short. That way, if you forget what you're saying, you can look back at it and get back on track, because it's very easy to start on one sentence and then you don't even know what you're talking about anymore.
Yeah, and your mind will be moving at 10,000 miles a second or a half a second, because you're thinking, you're trying to answer the question, you're thinking, you're trying to go back to certain parts, departments of your brain to get the answers or to formulate the answer. So those little notes, those little tricks help as well. That's good. That's good, man. Okay. So after your interviews, the next big step is you have to rank, or you have to put the programs that you've had interviews at in order. And for you, you've had 5 interviews, so that's 5 programs that you have to rank number 1 to number 5. So tell us a little bit about your thought process that you used to help you position the programs that you had to eventually rank and submit into match.
Okay. So the process that I kind of used was, me, I'm very flexible. I can go anywhere and be fine. But my fiance, she's graduating from a school. It's called Perfusion School. And so what I kind of used first was, where can she kind of get a job, especially because if these programs are tuition based, you know, if we can kind of supplement some of the finances with her income, that would be, helpful. So I was looking at places where she could get a good job. And then after that, it was how I felt after the interview. Because like I said, I liked all the interviews. I could see myself doing well and enjoying myself at any of the places that I interviewed. And so that was number one. Then number two, like I said, where could I see myself? Three was finances, as far as, was it tuition versus stipend. Uh, so those are some of the metrics that I used. 'Cause I'm very laid back, easygoing. I can, I feel like I can fit in. I can get in and fit in anywhere. I'm good at any hood kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And you also mentioned one of your determinants for the programs that you were applying to was weather, location. And you've got man, you've got programs, these 5 that you interviewed at, there's at least 2, maybe 3 that have got some bad weather.
Yeah. Oh, I was looking at that last week, because maybe last week we had some cold weather here in Texas, and we had in San Antonio and Houston. We had some ice here, and then I was looking at all the other places that I interviewed, and they were like snowed in, and I was like, man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
the first thing that came to mind was Iowa,
yes.
and then DC with Howard as well. So
Yes.
I'm sure that also played an influence on how you rank
That all
rank the
that did
programs. I
that
have a
did.
strong feeling it did too, because we're getting ready to reveal where he's going to be taking his talents to in a minute, and you'll see what I mean. But overall, you were happy with the rank and the position of the schools and the programs.
I am. I'm very happy, very happy, very happy, very grateful. Like I said, I could see myself going to any of those programs and
Yeah.
doing well, and making contributions to that program. So I'm very happy with
I
how.
know you're very happy because you also matched, and we're happy as well. So it's time for the program reveal, man. Where will you be taking your talents and be happy for the next was it 24 months? Is it
Yes,
20?
sir.
or 30 months. Is it 2.5 years
It's 2
or
years. It's just
2
2 years.
years? 24 months. She's like, Dr. Darwin, please don't add no more months to this, please. So
Yes.
where will you be taking your talents to, man?
So I will be taking my talents back to UT Health San Antonio. I'm staying here, staying home. Well, to
Staying
myself.
home.
Yes, sir.
Staying home where the weather is nice and not cold and frigid.
No, sir. I was telling someone, I'll be like, man, this will be my 10th year after the program. 4 years in undergrad, 4 years in dental school, and then after this residency, it'll be 10 years. I'm like, man, I might end up having to stay out here.
Hey, well, nothing wrong with Texas, man. Like I said, I used to live in Houston. Cost of living is a little bit different in comparison to some of these other places that you had on your rank list. And also state income tax, right? No state income tax in Texas. Big
Sir.
reason why a lot of people have a list of former residents that have all migrated, I should say, to Houston and San Antonio and Dallas in Texas as well. So UT San Antonio, congratulations, man. Tell us a little bit about the program related to tuition, stipend, and what are some of the highlights that really attracted you to your new Pedo program?
Yes, sir. So I would start off by some of the things that attracted me to our program. So, going to the school, I was able to see how how the different clinics run. There was no guessing on how this clinic ran and how that clinic ran. I'm used to it. I've seen it. I was able to build relationships with the faculty, especially our pre-doc faculty, Dr. Contreras. She's amazing. She's great. And so being able to work with her, that was another driving factor because she's very dedicated to the field of pediatric dentistry, and I've just seen her work and how she interacts with the residents and other students. She wants us to learn. She's not there just to get us through. Be like, some people might be like, well, y'all aren't gonna work with kids ever again. So, we'll be a little light on you. No, she wants everyone who comes through there to really learn and take initiative on how to, properly treat the pediatric patients. So that was a big thing for me. Um, Another thing that another aspect of our program is it is a tuition based. Well, so they have different components. So they have residents who can be here on tuition, and they have residents who can be here self-sponsored. I mean, not tuition, stipend or self-sponsored. And so that was another aspect that I liked about this program.
So
Either
so will you have to pay tuition though?
my position, I have the self-sponsor one, but that was another reason why I want to stay in San Antonio because my fiance, she can get a great job here in San Antonio, more opportunity rather than the other places that I interviewed. So the tuition here is $6,000. So that's, in the grand scheme of things, that's minimal far as, the added debt that we're going to incur
Yeah, 6,000, and that's 6,000
per
uh
year.
per year. For how many years? 2 years?
Yes.
Oh man.
Yeah, so in the stipend, I believe is 26,000, which it would have been great to have that. I definitely would have taken it. But when you do the numbers and stuff like that, it just makes sense for me and my fiance to stay here in
Yeah.
San Antonio, even if I
Yeah.
have to pay for it myself.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a great investment, and it's an investment that is probably a little bit more doable than dental school, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lot easier. Lot easier. What are some of the other things that you really liked or like about the program that you're going to be starting?
So some of the other aspects that I liked about the program, like I said, the location, some of the clinics that they have different clinics outside of the main clinic. We have the hospital, and then we have like a FQHC clinic. And I really like the FQHC clinic because that's where you get you see a lot more patients at that clinic. And the patient volume at our clinics is phenomenal in my opinion. The patient volume. You do a lot of sedations. I know every school has to do 25 by the time you graduate, but we get well over that as far as the oral conscious sedation. And like I said, the faculty here are amazing. The faculty here
Yeah.
are
Well, that's key. The faculty is key. That and also the program director can really set the tone
Yes.
and the culture for the program, in addition to the residents as well, right?
Yes, sir.
All of you all will be family during this 2 year period of time. So that's great, man. I'm so happy for you. Again, we've been working together since the beginning, and starting off with the CV and the personal statement and getting
Yes.
ready for interviews and everything. And just it's just so nice to see everything come full circle. So I'm so happy for you, man. So excited for you. This is great, great. So what also is exciting is this next section, which is tips, advice. Knowing what you know now and the process that you just completed, um, what are some things that you want to share with applicants that are preparing their past application and their candidacy right now for the next cycle? They're getting their stuff together right now. What 3, 4, 5 tips do you have for them as they start on this process and this journey?
Yes, sir. So my number one tip would be to, obviously, you want to cover your academic basis. You want to stay competitive as far as academics goes. That's first and foremost. Whether you're applying to residency or not, you just want to make sure you know the material being taught. The second thing I would say would be to stay involved. Stay involved in we're speaking about pediatrics, so stay involved in, as any aspect that involves pediatric patients. For me, I was a coach, I was a substitute teacher. I would do we called it the Special Olympics. We did the Special Olympics. And then I would also do we have a program here in San Antonio called the Miracle League. And the Miracle League is basically where we help athletes with disabilities play softball. And so sports is big for me. And so I had consistent experiences volunteering doing that. And that's just something that I like to do, whether it would have been on my application or not, applying or not. Be involved in the Pediatric Dental Society at your school, do your volunteering, academics, make connections, make genuine connections, because faculty members can tell if you're really passionate about what you're doing. Um, you know, if you're thinking about doing pediatrics early in your career, talk to the pre-doc uh, faculty member, get to know them, because that's most likely who's going to be able to write you a letter of recommendation. And their letter of recommendation is probably going to be highly weighted when the program directors read it at other schools, because they see how you worked with pediatric patients, and they've seen your dedication to the specialty. And so I would say that would be a big thing. That's something that I had. I was very close with our pre-doc faculty member, and so she knew me very well. She knew my dedication. She knew my heart. She knew my strengths. She knew my weaknesses. But she was able to write me a positive letter of recommendation, and you're gonna need at least two other letters of recommendation. So make genuine relationships with other faculty members. Um, I would say another one's probably gonna have to be we have what we call here GPGs, so group practice leaders. And so they're the ones who see you on a daily basis. So you want to make sure you're also staying in good standing with your what we call our GPG leaders, because they're the ones who's going to be able to see you the most on a daily basis. So they can possibly write even a little bit more about how you interact with patients in general, and your attitude and your work ethic. So you want to make sure you're staying on top of that. Um, some other tips I would say is to start early. Start the application early. That's the hectic part, trying to get all the information that's needed for the pass website.
And when you say early, what do you mean by early? Like, give us an example of early.
Well, I think the application opens in May. I was asking my faculty members for letters of rec in July. Some people might consider that late, but I was asking for July. I started in July because it's still going to take them some time to actually, get it done. I had some friends who were asking, and it took some of the people that they were asking up until the day that some of their deadlines were due. And you don't want to be in that situation. So if you can in June, May, June, July, as soon as the application, you can even ask them before the application is open for the letters of rec, honestly. But there are other aspects on the application that you need. Start your CV. If you're a first year, second year dental student, third year dental student, start working on your CV. Keep track of the the volunteering, the shadowing, the different working experiences that you have. Start keeping track of that now, so that way when it's time to upload it into the past website, you know, you're just copying and transferring it. It's not you're trying to think of dates like when did I do that? Did I do this? Did I do that? Am I getting
Keep a
hours?
journal. Keep a journal, y'all. Keep a journal every year, even if you're not sure if you're going to be applying to residency. You should still be taking a journal of and journaling those experiences of shadowing, things that you've seen, interactions that you've had, because you don't know.
You
You
don't know.
don't know.
So luckily I was able to memorize most of my stuff. I had it jotted down, but I was able to memorize some of the other stuff that I was involved with because I was doing it on a, you know, on a consistent basis. But definitely keeping track of that. And then the next biggest thing would be saving, because applying is not cheap, especially the more programs you start applying to. You can start adding it, you know, $100 for each program. And then some of these programs want supplemental fees just so you can tell them your name and why you want to do dentistry again. And then the traveling, you know, once you're able to get an interview, you know, the traveling aspect, the flights, the hotels, the Uber, the food, that's a big thing. You know, all different aspects of the application process that you should try to keep track of. And then one last thing I would say is being on top of your school requirements, because you're gonna miss once these interviews start coming up, you're gonna miss clinic sessions, and so you want to make sure you're on top of your clinical requirements as far as that goes, so that way when you know when it's all over, you're not stressed at the end of the year um, with clinical requirements.
Man, those are some great tips, man. Those are 6 great tips for all of you that are listening and watching and considering and getting ready to launch your application and your candidacy for Pedo. Stay competitive with your academics. Stay involved with Pedo related organizations and groups and events. Volunteer. Make sure you're volunteering. Also making sure that you have genuine connections with staff and faculty and your leaders in the clinic that know you. Why? Because at some point you may want to ask them to write a very strong letter of recommendation based on your connections with them. Starting the application early, right? And documenting the things that you're doing as early as first year with your CV, and keeping a journal along with that of all of those activities, because you don't know. You don't know what you may do. You may think one specialty, and then after 2 years, it may be something similar, but not the same one that you initially thought. But if
Sure.
you have your journal and you have your record of all the things that you've done and experienced, you can still use that when you're doing your applications in between D3 and D4 year as well, right? Also, keep saving money, right? Saving money for that pass application, those fees, and each of those programs have their own. Some of them have their own supplemental applications and fees, and then also fees and costs for travel and for those in-person interviews. And then also, like you said, the last one, maintain and stay on top of your school requirements, because you're going to have some days and some time away from the clinic, which means you need to make up that time somehow and make sure that those clinic requirements are done as well. So seven great, amazing tips, man, for the candidates. And guys, if you have heard something up to this point that has given you some value and been beneficial, that you liked and you think it's helpful, hey, please put a comment down in the chat, and feel free to sponsor the channel because this information hopefully will help you in your journey as well. So if something that student Dr. Patrick said or I said was helpful, put yes, thank you in the chat, or yes, very helpful down in the chat and in the comments as well. Okay.
I have one more tip, Dr. Darwin.
Yeah.
Share with them. The next tip I want to share with you is, if you're watching this video, go ahead and click like you said, click the link, book your session with Dr. Darwin. I would say his tips, his information, his coaching, his guidance was all very instrumental in me being able to prepare myself and getting my CV, getting my application in a more professional manner that's ready to be sent to these programs, because that's what they have to go off of, is what you send them. So you want to make sure that your CV, your application, your Y dentistry um uh letter is professional and ready, because that, like I said, that's all they have to go off of. So if that's not, attention grabbing, that doesn't hold them and make them want to bring you in, there's really nothing else you can do at that point. So you want to make sure that's on top. That's A1. So like I said, I would, reach out to Dr. Darwin to get into dental residency headquarters and, speak with him about different options that you can use, so that way you can best be prepared and have the best chances of getting into your residency of choice.
Hey, I've heard no lies. I've heard no lies spoken here. Say less. Go down to the link down here below. Doc, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you if they have some more questions?
So you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is kingme28. But the I in King is the number 1, so K1NGME28. Or you can do an email. So my email is princep@livemail.uthsca.edu. So Prince, PRINCEP @UTHSC-SA.edu.
Check out those links here on screen and also in the episode narrative to get in contact with student doctor, soon to be Dr. Patrick Prince. What's the countdown, man? How many days for graduation?
We graduate. I know the date, May 18th. We have our ADEX late April. And if I looked at the calendar correct, if you have your requirements after that time, May 1st, you're more or less done. They still want you to come in, but you're smooth sailing after that.
Yeah. Well, so this episode and the information that you shared, man, it has also been smooth sailing. We thank you so much. We're very proud of you. Definitely want to follow your journey into becoming a board certified pediatric dentist through your upcoming first year in Pedo at UT San Antonio. And again, very proud of you, man. Very happy for you. Congratulations. And for those of you listening and watching, share this video with someone that you know that's thinking about Pedo. And even if it's you, go back and listen to it again, watch it again, implement these tips and these actions and the recommendations. All right. You can become a board certified pediatric dentist too. You're on your way. All right. And make your way to the next video. Go to the next video right now. Go, 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 go.